Hey, Suits, it's not like you're one to maybe fib on the golf course, but have you ever got an albatross? You ever shot a 2 on a 5?
A 2 on a 5. I've shot a 5 on a 3. I've shot a 8 on a 3. I've had a 10 on a 3. I've had a 10 or 11 on a 5, but I've never had a 2 on a 5.
Yeah, all right.
Good answer, Suits. Good answer.
And that's how most golfers are, you know.
Yeah.
Like when someone's like, "Oh, we're coming up on a par 3," and I'm like, "No, par 3s are the more embarrassing than a par 5, because if you shoot an 8 on a par 5, that's almost a win if you're not a great golfer. But when you're an 8 on a par 3, that's even worse. That's why you see guys snapping clubs, throwing clubs in the water, arguing with their spouses on their cell phones. It's just frustrating game.
You know, I played one time, guys, with a really good golfer, and we were on, I think, the second hole, and I did that. It was back when I was actually playing football, so you're right in that competitive mindset all the time. And I missed a putt that was about 4 or 5 feet, and I got really mad, and I smacked my putter on the side of the thing when I was walking back to the cart. And he goes, "Hey, just want to ask you something. How much do you practice putting? Like, how much do you practice it?" And I said, "Never. I don't think I've ever practiced putting." And he goes, "Okay, well then I'm just wondering, because you got really upset with yourself when you didn't make a putt, but yet you never ever practice it. So you see there's a gap there. Do you see where the gap is? See, if you practice it and then you miss, then I can understand you getting upset. If you don't practice it and you miss, you should just go to the next hole and grab a hot dog."
If your warm-up is 2 beers and a hot dog and going to the first tee, you don't get to be mad when you hook the ball. No.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And
exactly.
And when you do something for a living and you watch people do it and they're really good at it, and then you go and try it and you don't, I don't know what you're expecting. All right, Suits, let's talk a little football. Earlier in the show, we had pictures up on the live stream of Chris Streveler in a fur coat. He was shirtless with a cowboy hat, a cigar, and holding a Grey Cup. I love that look. That's a good look for anybody. There it is right there. Tonight, he's the starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And I thought in the preseason game against the Riders, it was preseason, that he looked good. He looked like he was making throws and doing things that maybe we hadn't seen out of him. What are you expecting from Streveler tonight for the Bombers? Because Collaros is suspended and he's not dressed for the game.
Yeah, I'm expecting Streveler to play very, very well. I have reasons for that. One is his experience now, and experience playing in games in the CFL. But I had a great conversation with him this week and asked him about that very question. When you get hurt, he got hurt in the Banjo Bowl last year. We're having all through the rest of the season and through the off season. So he said, understand how quickly the chance can be taken away from you. You realize when you get that opportunity to actually go and play again. I just see.
Hey, Suits,
ready
Suits,
for this opportunity, guy.
Your phone's breaking up, so we're gonna just filibuster here. We're gonna call you, okay? We're gonna old school call you because the video stream, it's breaking up here or whatever. So yeah, so we'll do that, and Colson will give him a call.
1970s technology coming into play right now. Yeah.
Hey,
Is that our
Winnipeg,
Commodore
get
54 or 64 computer giving us suck grief?
I don't know.
Do
they not have cell service in Winnipeg? Barney said COVID's still happening there because everyone wears a mask.
The cell service is new there. Yeah, they just got it a while back. Yeah, you can't Google Winnipeg. It doesn't come up. Yeah.
I laughed a few weeks ago. You guys were on and you were ripping into Winnipeg, and Barney mentioned that you had your thing. Barney's like, COVID's still a thing because everyone's wearing a mask or whatever. And I was laughing out loud. I was like, oh, jeez.
So our friend from Winnipeg is probably texting in all day. I can't see the text line. I don't have access to it here in front of me. But yeah, I'm sure. Is it Gary from Winnipeg that likes to text in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he's texting in all day.
I've stayed away from the text line because the other days, something about being princesses or something like that, or being overly emotional, and people were pointing out in this direction that this person on the show was the princess getting over emotional. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to stay away. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life right now. All right, I think we got Suits back by a phone from from Princess Auto Stadium, where tonight the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will take on the BC Lions. And we were talking about Chris Streveler being the starting quarterback. He looked good in the preseason. Glenn, do you think because of the injury that he suffered, because if that does limit mobility, his offseason training and his focus on becoming more of a pocket passer may have come into play?
Yeah, probably. I think it's fair to say he didn't mention it in our phone call, but I think he would have worked on that while the rehab was going on, and just throwing from the pocket, throwing from just that straight stand up, not throwing on the run and things like that, which is his go-to. That's right in his wheelhouse. So yeah, I think it's a couple of things. It's just that understanding that this opportunity can be taken away from you at any time, and that you should take full advantage when you can. He said when he started back in 2018, that first time he got a chance to start, he lost the first game against Edmonton, and his second start they blew out Montreal, and he said, I just had a completely different mindset even last year. So, I think you're going to see a much more composed guy who can throw the ball from both the pocket or on the run. It's going to be a challenge for the Lions tonight. I love this matchup because of the way Nathan Rourke played in Week 1. And remember, the Bombers didn't play in Week 1, so they have the bye, and they have that game film from BC. I wonder what kind of edge that could give them, because the Lions didn't have that. They only had preseason tape.
It's going to be a different look, that's for sure. When I think about the Bombers coming into this one, though, I think of Brady Oliveira. What's he going to be in their offense with Streveler under center? I think that's the guy that BC's got to go. We got to stop him first.
Yeah, Sharky, you're right. Like I asked Buck when we talked to him. Buck Pierce, of course, is returning to Winnipeg tonight. The former offensive coordinator for the Bombers. And I asked Buck, the head coach in BC now, I said, do you walk into your defensive meeting and just say to the guys, listen, if we don't stop Brady Oliveira, we might as well just take the loss and move on to the next week? And he goes, no, I don't approach it that out front and simple. But he says, but clearly we have to be physical on the line of scrimmage. Like, they're going to have to be physical. This has been the story for this team for 2 years now, 3 years. Keep going back to the Grey Cup out of the West, on the heels through the heart of this run game. And Brady Oliveira leading the league in rushing. It's not just that he leads the league. It's the way he does it. The offensive line starts pounding the defense. Brady is a hammer when he gets through the line of scrimmage. He is making tacklers pay when he gets through. And by the fourth quarter, they're just folding. And so, I don't think, as long as Brady Oliveira's here, the new play caller was hired from within, so he understands Brady. Was Brady's running back coach, but he's gonna stick with running this offense through the run game and Brady Oliveira. So if the Lions want to win tonight, they've got to stop the run. I mean, if you're betting right now and Brady Oliveira is at probably 100 plus or minus or something like that, if you take the under, Winnipeg probably loses this game. If you take the over, Winnipeg probably wins this game if he's in the over. If he rushes for 120, 130, Bombers probably win this game. That's been their formula.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Now, I thought last week the BC Lions did a much better job passing. I think Rourke gives them a much more dynamic offense that way. Barry Hill, I believe, was the big receiver for him, cut the most passes. Yeah, Barry Hill had 6 receptions for 105 yards. Do you see that carrying on again this game, or is Winnipeg going to be able to shut that down?
Well, Winnipeg's got some younger corners, not real veterans. They have 2 halfbacks in their secondary at Home and Nichols, Dietrich Nichols and Evan Home, who are both veterans of 4 or 5 years. So, they know what they're up against here. But the two corners aren't. One is Bonds. He's in his second year, and Shamar Bridges, who's relatively young too. So, yeah, I think Nathan played great. I mean, he was the player of the week. I still believe he and Trevor Harris probably are the quickest quarterbacks in the processing department, meaning when they see what they want to go to, they get the ball out of their hands quicker than any quarterback in the league. And that includes Bo Levi Mitchell, who we will cover in the Saskatchewan game. These guys, Trevor and Nathan Rourke, I believe are 1 and 1A when it comes to processing and quickness in release. So what does that mean tonight, the Bomber defense? It means that they have to get up and press coverage. You can look for that away from the ball. Are the DBs going to have to close the gap so that he just can't make those quick hot releases? And do they have to play more man-to-man so he can't just work the ball through the zones and through those open areas? There's a lot of intriguing storylines here tonight, but stopping Brady Oliveira on defense for BC is one. If Nathan Rourke is anything like he was in the second half against Edmonton in week 1, this is going to be a shootout.
No kidding.
But Suits, although his title has changed, this is still Richie Hall's defense. The DNA and the fingerprints are all over it. And I would love to have been in those meetings this week to see what, Richie and the rest of the staff have drawn up to stop this, because it's not the first time they've seen it. And if there's one defense in this league, and you know this, because you know the man that can give people fits, are still the Bombers. Yeah, you got Willie Jefferson to deal with, but then you've got scheme. Why has Winnipeg been able to be so good over so many years? Because it's the same guy running the same concept. But why is it successful?
Yeah, it is a combination of the scheme of it and the buy-in of it. I've said many times that every team at this level has great athletes on their team. There was a whole tryout process, a free agents process, and through that they looked through many, many players to determine the starting groups when they get to this point and we're getting ready to play regular season football. So these are elite athletes across the board. So what's the difference? The difference is, do we believe in each other? Are we communicating together? Are we playing for each other? Are we a great team? That's one. I think maybe the most important one. Then scheme and sort of talent, speed, the ability to catch the ball, the ability to hit the quarterback, all those things. That's part of the puzzle. It's part of the pie, but it's not all of it. So I think two things for Winnipeg. One is, they have been that tight-knit team. There's a reason that this team every year is the fewest penalties in the game. And the reason for it is because they play for each other. They don't want to let each other down. It has nothing to do with coaches' speeches. It has to do with the culture that's been built in Winnipeg from Michael O'Shea all the way down, that if you're in this locker room, then you are here to serve your teammate. You're here to be a great teammate. And so that's why they don't get very many penalties. Not because of a speech or penalty or being fined or anything like that. They don't get penalties because they don't want to let each other down. So I think that's why the Bombers have been as successful as they've been over the last 4 or 5 years. They've been one of the best teams in the league at that, at just coming together, being a tight-knit group, being like a family. We hear that all the time. And I expect to see a little bit of that again this year, even though there's a lot of new faces. They assimilate pretty quickly to Michael O'Shea's approach to the game.
Glenn, as we get closer to the game on Saturday, the Ryder injury report is doing us no favors. Thomas Bertrand-Houdon has been ruled out for this weekend, and there's going to be some roster shuffling and some lineup changes as they head into Hamilton. Are you still feeling confident that with the depth of the Riders, that even though they're going on the road, that they are the better team and can win this game against Bo Levi and the Ticats?
Well, it's going to be a great tight game as well. I think the pressure will be again on the Rider secondary, strength against strength. I know it's not been named officially yet. I'm not sure what the status of Roland is quite yet, but I think fingers crossed that he'll be good to go. So that's a great playmaking veteran in the secondary. But there's some playmakers. I mean, Tim White, Kenny Lawler, and a game under their belt for Bo Levi Mitchell to correct some of the things that they messed up in Week 1 in Calgary, because he overshot a couple of throws, and even Kenny Lawler and some of his sure-handed receivers dropped a couple of passes. I mean, Lawler, I think, was targeted 13 times, only caught 6. So they're going to make those corrections. So that's going to be the challenge for the Riders. But here's why, I think this is going to be a game down in the final 3 minutes, is because of Trevor. Trevor Harris is an elite player who, in game 1, dissected the Ottawa defense. I mean, it wasn't every series. It'll never be any series. The other team is throws, and they get paid to, and they're going to make their plays to. But when he needed to, Trevor Harris chewed up that defense. They tried to play zone. They tried to go man. It didn't really matter. MLS has a big game. When you have a quarterback that recognizes and, as I mentioned, gets rid of the ball like Trevor does, you can work around an offensive line that's finding its way because you have a quarterback with a quick release. And, you have a quarterback that understands and has seen every defense. So you always are in the game, even if you're down by 10 early or down by 14 or whatever. You have a veteran quarterback that can bring you back. And remember, last year when they went to Hamilton, they came back from down 10, or I want to say it might have even been 14 in the second half to win. I think it was even a fourth quarter comeback.
All right. Normally, Glenn, when we're chatting with you, it's in your office in posh British Columbia, somewhere in a suburb or whatever, that we're all very enviable. But tonight you're working. You're a working man, earning hard dollars, so we'll let you get to it. He's at Princess Auto Stadium. He's getting ready to call Bombers Lions, which will kick off at 6:30 Sasky time. There is that time change there, so it's already 6:30. Suits, as always, love you. We'll catch up with you on Tuesday. It's press coverage with Glen Suitor for Bronco Plumbing and Heating, where professional service is guaranteed. They'll treat you right. 781-2090. Should be a good game tonight. It's got all the makings of it.
Thanks, gentlemen.
No shortage of some firepower.